bridging of the gap between Web 2 and Web 3. We're going to be getting deeply into the aviation industry and some of the digitization efforts that are ongoing with blockchain integration. Super excited today to have Yannick of Kepler Digitals with us today. I've got Pierre of Galileo Protocol. I've got Thierry, who is the managing director of MB Aviation. Let's get the ball rolling here. I always like to kind of start these out with a little bit of an intro and an overview of your guys' roles within your projects or within traditional industry. So Thierry, you are our guest of honor today. So I'm going to ask you if you could give us an introduction of yourself and tell us a little bit about what MB Aviation does in the aviation industry.
Sure. Nice to meet you, everyone. I'm Thierry. I'm the General Manager of MB Aviation. I've been working in the industry for the past 15 years now. And talking about MBA, I would say that we initially came from the ground handling industry. We've been evolving. We manage almost all the services you can find in the ground handling industry, with ground services, catering, business aviation, everything you can basically find in this industry. And we evolved with the services because we believe that innovation is changing everything in this industry, and we believe that it's not anymore about the ground handling services and what we go to multimodal activities. So we started thinking about reinventing services, reinventing solutions in this industry. So we started working closely with some providers, some digital solutions providers, such as Amadeus, for example, and starting to provide consultancy, training, building services, all that kind of stuff. So I would say that we have a vision of how the ground services are evolving and how we can support that evolution.
Awesome. Thank you, Thierry. Appreciate it. And I know that there's some overlap here, Yannick, with your long tenure and just tons of experience within Amadeus too. And I would love maybe, Yannick, if you could just give a brief intro of yourself and just tell us maybe just a little bit about Kepler before we kind of dig into the weeds. And then Pierre, you're on deck, Pierre.
Okay. Yes. For the people who are joining us for the first time, maybe I just introduce myself as I've been in aviation all my life. Even before I studied, I was injected by aviation DNA when I was a kid. So obviously, I decided to embrace a career that goes from aircraft maintenance, aircraft building, to airport operations, airline operations, and from there I joined Amadeus 28 years ago, and we developed a set of solutions to address all types of aeronautical need on the IT side, and especially on the ground handling industry. And as Thierry said, his previous company, but his current company has been a customer of Amadeus. So the MB Aviation has been always very innovative, starting new things with Amadeus from scratch and making them a success afterwards. So therefore, when I left Amadeus, naturally we continued our good relationship, and that's part of Kepler Digital, which is also very innovative. The first one addressing really blockchain into the aviation world. I asked MB Aviation if they wanted to join us as a partner. This is the case now, and they will be inventing with us a new way of addressing the diplomas, and this is something that is quite a groundbreaking initiative that we are doing with MB Aviation. This is a little bit of my background as CEO. So Kepler Digital was incepted in May 2024, not so long ago. But the thought process to get to that was I started 3 years ago when I was an advisor of Galileo Protocol, so that Pierre initiated 3 years ago. So this is a short condensated.
Thanks, thanks, Yannick. And Pierre, feel free. The floor is yours. Just an intro, and tell us a little bit about what Galileo is doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So hello, everyone. Hello, Crypto Twitter. Hello, the Kepler, the Genfinity, the NB Aviation, and the Galileo community. So my name is Pierre. I am one of the co-founders of Galileo Protocol and the CEO also of this company. Currently, the company is located in France and in Switzerland. So I was not injected airports or aircraft DNA when I was young, but I think I was injected also web development when I was very young. I started to get very interested about how to develop a website, how to develop an application, and since the young age, I have been pursuing this passion into different initiatives such as application building, but also website development, and now blockchain product development. So we have been creating Galileo Protocol almost 3 years ago, and it was especially leveraging the NFT use cases, because the NFT industry has been booming in 2020, 2021, and it was a very smart way to represent the ownership of the digital art. And the perception that I have is like, okay, with NFT, we can do a lot of things and we can develop a lot of use cases. And especially use cases where the ownership and the traceability of physical items is difficult to be verifiable. So that's why with Galileo Protocol and Kepler Digital is like we are leveraging the blockchain technology to ensure the transparency, the traceability of real world assets. Luxury items for Galileo and all the airport type of assets within Kepler Digital. And that's why MB Aviation and Kepler Digital are creating some synergy, because MB Aviation is issuing some diploma for the staff, for the airport staff, and Kepler Digital wants to tackle the counterfeiting problem within the diploma ecosystem, I would say, by addressing and by proposing some blockchain type of solution. So if we go back to Galileo Protocol, so we use the blockchain and the artificial intelligence to authenticate luxury goods, but also to provide enhanced traceability and to narrate the history of the product. Now, when you are buying a luxury product, you are not just buying a product. You are buying the storytelling, you are buying the story and the heritage of this brand. And the pNFT, the digital passport, that's two ways to call it. It's a good way to enhance the communication between luxury brands and the final customers. So we have different angles in terms of product development. Is that we are developing some solution for the luxury brands to accept cryptocurrency as a form of payment. It's very interesting to know that 55% of the luxury customers are open to purchasing luxury product with cryptocurrency. And we also we enhance the authentication of luxury product with the pNFT, so it means physical non-fungible token. Like I was saying, is to enhance the transparency and the traceability of these items. Very interesting to note that today, who are the luxury buyers? That's the Generation Z, but also the millennials that are buying the luxury products. And this generation is also the people that are buying cryptocurrency. Today in the world, there is about 400 million of people that own cryptocurrency. But what do they do with their cryptocurrency? They speculate. But what are the different use cases that we can develop? How we can allow them to spend their cryptocurrency to buy goods and services. And this younger generation of people that own cryptocurrency are looking for initiative and opportunities to use the blockchain technology in their daily life. And that's why we are creating this bridge. That's why we help connect luxury brands with the Web3 audience through the Galileo Protocol product suite.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, so one thing I definitely want to kind of get everybody's thoughts on here is, and I know that Pierre, you allude to this, is kind of the partnership aspects between MB Aviation, and thank you for the intro, Thierry, as well. I mean, airport management, baggage tracking, training. But, you know, I think it's interesting when you see kind of real world applications come on chain, and when you talk about like a platform like Galileo and you have, you know, the luxury goods being tokenized and pNFTs, you know, the platform itself and kind of the underlying technology there can represent a lot of different things, not just luxury goods, but like diplomas that for maintenance personnel or whatever it may be within the airline industry. And I guess maybe I'll start with Thierry, and we talk about, kind of the partnership that everybody up here kind of has, and what kind of this kind of first use case represents for MB Aviation, bringing diplomas on chain. What's the current, I guess, process of like certifying individuals? Is it fragmented? Are there kind of problems in that process? Does blockchain open up authenticity and different aspects with using the technology? And I'll kind of let you take it from there, Thierry.
Sure. What I can say about this is that what happens in the aviation sector is that everybody believes that everything is very strict and managed, and that we can have authenticity and that everything is tracked. Truth is not about it, because we know we can see that it's very hard to track the diplomas and the certifications of the people on the ground. You can see that every year there is so many people going to work in the aviation industry. They have so many people going into the airports that they need to be trained. And what happens is that they receive trainings, and it's not really nicely managed, because they don't get the certifications. There is no way to track where they get trained. There's no way to say that the identity of the person who received the training is good. So it's quite an issue, actually. But since there is a huge need of people, of staff on the airports, the authorities have no way to restrain that, and to make sure that we have the right people with the right certifications. Even though in kind of audits from the airlines, you'd never have the certification, you're never sure that it's all okay. So what brings Galileo to this issue is that we can, thanks to the blockchain, we can streamline the process, and we can make sure that the people who receive the training will have the certification, and we can track them to make sure that we are in line. So definitely that's something we want to do. We want to provide the proof to the airlines. We want to provide the proof to the ground handling companies that they are hiring the good person with the right qualification and the right skills. And in the end, I think everybody will win.
I think it's really cool too, because a lot of this stuff too, I should say, is always interesting for me to kind of dig into, because I've had zero experience interviewing anybody from the airline industry until we've had Yannick on and started working with the Kepler guys a little bit. And obviously Galileo I've been familiar with for a while. But one thing, when I hear that there's kind of issues, it's like, I'm almost even thinking from like the competitive advantage standpoint, from an MB Aviation standpoint, when it's like, when you guys go out for traditional business out there, and you're comparing yourself, and people that you're trying to, get business with are comparing you to competitors, imagine being able to be like, hey, we can in real time track certifications of the individuals that we have within MB Aviation. So when you work with us, you get real time provenance, you get real time authenticity and all this stuff, which becomes a really powerful tool to kind of have in your business arsenal. But I'll ramble on this for a while if I'm let to ramble on it. So I would love to hear maybe Yannick, if you could talk a little bit about the partnership and what this kind of represents for maybe like a foot in the door type aspect. Like, it's starting with kind of the credentialing and everything else, and where it could kind of end up.
Yeah. So to complement what Thierry was saying, maybe just to size the let's say the market itself, what it represents. If next time you take an aircraft, you will notice the number of people going around the aircraft. You have more people on the ground taking care of the aircraft than staff in the aircraft, the air crew or the stewardess. So all these people, if you take the case of France, for instance, we are talking about a population which is more than 50,000 people. And you have peak times for that. You've got the summertime, you've got the big weekends. So you need to bring on board even interim people, even people who are just working for several days and after they go. But all these people, they need to ensure the safety and security of the aircraft which is departing. So in order to do that, you need to make sure they have the right training and the right follow-up the right refresh of what they learned, and they are able to apply that another time. And when they come back the next summer, they need also to be refreshed. So all that today is very manual. So of course you've got paper diploma. You make sure that this person is having the right training. But at the end, this is just a paper. And the good thing about pNFTs is that you can make a digital twin of that diploma. And the bet that we are having is that it will be mandated. It will be a hard request from the authorities in 5 years from now. So if MB Aviation is the first one to do that, of course, they will have a competitive advantage versus other training centers. And so this is something that we need to start for the good of aviation in general. Let's remember that aviation will double. Today we transport 4 billion passengers per year. In 2040, we will be transporting 8 billion passengers per year. So this is a good time to make sure that everything is followed up, and new technology like blockchains can allow what was not possible 5 years ago. So this is something which is extremely important to adopt the right habits right now, and we want to be the pioneer on that. So thank you, MB Aviation, to be our partner for that. But definitely the industry will go that way. So this is one aspect. I'd like to also to raise another aspect, not only about the training, but about the process around an aircraft. At the end, when the captain is signing the weight and load balance, this is the result of a process. This process needs also to be tracked by trained people. So basically, training is one thing to tokenize, but this is not the only thing. So in the past, Ryan, we talked about, of course, the logistic change, the spare parts of the aircraft itself, but the process itself is eligible for tokenization. So I'm absolutely convinced about that. So we need pioneers like MB Aviation to help us on one aspect, and others to come as well on board. And we have, I'd say, it's like a societal mission. It's not, if you want, Kepler Digital is not about, let's say, an investment. It's not about money. Of course, money is good for a company, like every company, but we have a mission to make aviation safer and greener, and we can touch the green side of it a little bit later in that conversation.
Sure. Yeah, and I think Pierre, I mean, just to kind of maybe expand a little bit, one of the things I think that's, if you kind of step back, you know, I could probably have a ton of different examples in this, but I think about like kind of the some of the use cases that these platforms themselves are going to dictate out for adoption of this technology. So like when you think about luxury goods, obviously that is like a use case, but the platform itself doesn't have to be like luxury goods. And it's similar to like when you see credentialing coming on chain, or when you kind of go down that rabbit hole of like, you know, we've proven out a use case with luxury goods, and now you've got on-chain credentialing. It's really kind of about the underlying technology of like, you know, digital twins and kind of where that opens up for a platform like Galileo. And I would love if maybe you could just share your thoughts on broader impacts for having a couple of like different verticals starting to come on to use the technology that Galileo has.
Yeah. So as you know, we have been developing the marketplace over the past 2 years, and it was a proof of concept in which we can tokenize luxury assets and we can propose them to a group of different customers. But at some point, and especially with the synergy that we are having with MB Aviation and Kepler Digital, is like, okay, there is different use cases that we can tokenize, and we don't want to limit ourselves to just luxury. So currently we are in the development process of a very broad tokenization process with AI at the heart also as well. And when the people, the individuals or the companies that wants to leverage the tokenization platform, they will arrive on a page and a chatbot will tell them, okay, welcome to the page. Like, what do you want to tokenize today? Oh, I want to tokenize my university diploma. Oh, wow, where did you get the diploma from? From the Princeton University in 2022. oh wow, are you an individual or are you a recognized university? Or I am an individual. Okay, so do you want to make your pNFT recognized by the Princeton universities and enhancing the validity of your pNFT? So we are trying to create the most friendly user experiences, because we know that the blockchain, the Web3 is a little bit left behind the Web2 user experiences. So that's why we are trying to have this approach with a chatbot that will help all the individuals and the company to tokenize their assets. And for sure that we will be implementing KYC, KYB in order so when Princeton University decide to tokenize some diploma, like they will need to do a KYB, and then it will enhance also the authority of the pNFT. Because today everyone can create a pNFT, deploy a smart contract, etc. But how you are making sure that pNFT is representing the real life condition. So that's why we need to have this system in place in order to increase also the confidence towards the tokenization process. And I just want to tell a story because it's funny, because when I was 23 years old, I decided to take my backpack. I left with 10,000 euros and I decided to travel the world. And I was traveling the world on a budget. And I remember I arrived in an airport and I was to fly into Malaysia. And the flight girl, at the desk told me, is like, do you have a flight ticket return? It's like, no, I don't have a flight ticket return. Oh, so you cannot go into the aircraft. So what I did is, like, I took my computer, I went on Photoshop, and I create a fake flight ticket return. And I show it to the girl, and she told me, welcome to Malaysia Airlines. It's like, okay, so it's very easy to counterfeit this kind of document. And we know that the security is very important within an airport. So that's why with the blockchain industry, we are trying to tackle this this problem with advanced technology like this one. And just to say also, because MB Aviation, so I think it will be a pioneer in the tokenization of diploma in France and in Europe, but we are seeing some use cases already. We have Harvard University that is using the blockchain in order to reduce the fraud. We have the University of Nicosia also as well, that has been reducing the fraud by 90%. And I think the University of California, Berkeley, also is using the blockchain to tokenize the diploma.
Yep. And I kind of, to kind of take a step back, I know I kind of want to go down the path of the green aviation here, or lead into this at least, Yannick. But as far as, I guess, some other key challenges that are out there in the wild within the aviation industry, whether it's luggage tracking or things that kind of just occur internally within airport management. I would love to maybe hear, Thierry, like, we talked about kind of the degree authenticity and the credentialing and everything else, but like outside of that, like, are there processes that are in place right now that you feel like could just be streamlined through, digitization efforts or, blockchain and things like that? And just what's kind of the, I guess, some of the pain points that might stick out to you, and how you think, different types of technology like blockchain can kind of help to address some of what's going on in aviation.
Sure. Yeah, definitely there is some room for improvement. I heard talking about baggage tracking before in the conversation. That's something we're working on also. We've seen that the policy of the airlines have been changing a lot during the past years. In the past, when you used to travel with national airlines, I would say they would take your baggage and they would take you anywhere in the world, and the price of the baggage was included in your initial ticket. Now you have to pay for all the extra services, and it's not only low-cost airlines that request this kind of services. And we know that the other issue we have with the baggage is that the service starts at the airport and ends with the airport. So there is a room to set up what we call off-airport initiative, off-airport services, meaning that we can take the baggage outside of the airport. We can deal with the passengers outside of the airport. We can bring the baggage to the passengers where they go. You can bring the baggage to their hotels. You can streamline the whole process, and we can relieve the passenger of this pain point. And I think maybe that could be another use case we could deal with Kepler Digital to track and to help this tracking of the baggage outside, I would say, the standard aviation industry streamline, which is in place today. That could be something.
Yep. Yeah. I think it's I mean, it's one of like the most fearful things that happens when you're flying. You're just hoping that your baggage is there by the time that you land, or
happens to everyone, I guess.
And I know, Yannick, this is one of the things that's kind of wow, it's a passion point for you based on previous discussions that we've had, but it's also just reality is that global industry is moving towards kind of green initiatives and sustainability initiatives and all the ESG goals set out by all of the governing bodies globally. Maybe just give us like a brief overview of where the aviation industry is headed from a green economy standpoint, and why that is kind of something that you guys are gonna, are focused on.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe the whole scope about where aviation needs to go. So aviation has to be carbon neutral in 2050. So this is not that far away. And with in the middle, what I was saying, a growth of the traffic. So you need to combine growth of the traffic, multiply by two, and at the same time become carbon neutral. So you need to do a lot of things to make that happen. But I'm very confident in human creativity, the brain of the engineers, the brain of the people who are going to make that happen. I do believe it will be the case. But there are several things that needs to happen. So first one, you have the transformation of the energy helping the aircraft to fly. So this is something that, example, you heard about SAF, Sustainable Aviation Fuel, which is also involving carbon credits. So if you think carbon credits, you can think also about blockchainize some of it to make sure that they are not fake carbon credits. So there is also an opportunity for blockchain for that. There is also a new emergence of electricity, of course, electric aviation, especially with the big progress that was done. So electric aviation, you've got a set of all the aircraft manufacturers are working about the short haul aircraft that are going to be flying purely by electricity. So it will be coming in the next 5 years. You will have the first commercial transportation this way for the short haul. So therefore here you need to track also the logistical chain, example, the batteries. Yeah, so batteries needs to be also making sure that they are fully safe and fully swappable between each other. So this is also another way that we will need to track. And then the next generation of energy to transport will be hydrogen. So this is a big thing, because today we can hydrogen. You can use hydrogen example to power a car. But today, to power an aircraft, it's another type of challenges, because you need to have a big tank. So all that, if you want, is needs also to make sure that the good habits are taken from scratch and not counting on paper, to make sure that all that is traceable and not counterfeited. And the last one, which is even the most exciting for an aviation guy like me, this is the aerodynamics of the aircraft. So this is something that I could spend hours explaining why, but we will need to change the way that they look. The aircraft will not look the same to make sure that happens. So the combination of all that will go to carbon neutrality in 2050, and you need to make sure all that is new, and you need to have it safe, and have it safe from scratch. So blockchain is a way to avoid counterfeiting, because today you can. We have a doubt, and with John Jarwell, one of my advisors, there is a a number that is floating around that between 2% and 3%, maybe 5% from time to time, of the parts that you have on an aircraft is not traced the proper way. And well, when you fly, you are thinking, okay, so is it the right bolt or the white fastener that is making sure that my aircraft is flying? Anyway, so all that is to say, new aviation, new technologies, let's apply the right habit from scratch for these new things to happen 2050 to make carbon neutral. But this is not the only thing. You've got behind me a new aviation coming up. And this is what we call advanced air mobility, urban air mobility, the flying taxi in a way. So the numbers that I was mentioning before are the number of classical aviation. But if you add to that the fact that cities are over-congested, traffic jams all around, people will start to use eVTOLs, if you want electric helicopters in a way, electric vertical takeoff and landing, to go from point A to point B. It will add people in the air. So the airspace will need to be shared between the lower layers and the higher layers. But at the end, this type of thing is flying. So you need also to take care of the traceability of this. So basically, you see the pie which is in front of us and the challenges to address all that, to make aviation greener with the new technology that I was mentioning, and to have a new aviation on top coming up. So paper is not anymore possible. We need to address definitely blockchains to make sure that everything is secured from scratch and not counterfeited. I
remember one of the older interviews that we did, I think it was maybe a month or two ago, and you talking about the eVTOLs and the urban air mobility. And my wife, we were just like, literally, this true story, like about a week ago, my wife and I were driving, and she was talking about all this crazy technology. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know, at some point, like in the near future, they're going to have like taxis, like air taxis taking you from the airport to your hotel or wherever. And she's like, get out of here. And I'm like, no, like legitimately, like that's 100% coming down the pipeline. And by the way, the number, just for some context for everybody out there, Federal Aviation Administration estimates that around 2% of the 26 million parts in a modern airplane are counterfeit or unapproved, or about 520,000 parts per year, which is pretty. It's a pretty scary number if you think about it. I did want to kind of ask you guys and get into just kind of in general some more recent events that everybody kind of has coming down the pipeline right now. But before I get to that, I know we talked about kind of competitive advantage from the MBA aviation standpoint. And I think when we talk about like technology and all these spaces, like really it is kind of about real world adoption. And we've seen these big enterprises and big businesses kind of dip their toes into the water. And it seems from like the outside looking in that must take a hell of a lot of like real forward looking leadership within these enterprises. And, you know, I'm curious from your standpoint, and again, I'll go to Yannick here, like from a competitive advantage standpoint, just your experience and your network and your contacts out there in the traditional aviation industry, does that give you feel like a little bit of an advantage compared to like, you know, another kind of blockchain startup that's trying to make these relationships and get stuff moving and get stuff to move the needle? Or, you know, what's been your experience in dealing with the entities that you have relationships with an Amadeus or with an MBA Aviation? Like, yeah.
Yeah, so this is quite funny, and maybe I can refer to the ICO, and it gives you a sense of let's say the reactions that I observe on the market. Of course, you know, in aviation you can find blockchain white papers. So over the past 10 years, people wrote things about how we could use blockchain. I think the reason why it has not been implemented, because the current IT system are so huge, so complex to replace, and at the same time so productive in terms of cash money, that the fact to change like for like something that is let's say a good IT system, productive IT system versus blockchain, it has already been a struggle to make it happen. So when you have a new eyes, you don't come from a legacy. Basically, you have nothing to lose, and this is what we are trying. And when I mentioned the ICO, actually 1/3 of the investors are primo investors, not because they want to make a crypto markup, just because they believe in the project. And a lot of them are coming from traditional aviation. They say, okay, so this is something I want to try. So basically, I cannot disclose too many secrets, but a lot of these investors are coming from my network, senior people who never dared ICOs, but because they believe in Kepler, they decided to invest to help Kepler. Yeah. So for you know already some of my advisors. So you've got Breda Nilsen, for instance, who was the CIO for 43 Airport in Norway. This is public person, so you can see that on our website. You have also John Jarrell, who have been more than 40 years in IT aviation. Now he's a captain on Flexjet. So these people are openly supporting this, but I have more people behind the scene that I cannot disclose the name of, but they think exactly the same. So they want to try, they want to see what it gives. And I hope that I can disclose more partnership in the future, but under non-disclosure agreements, I cannot say it during that interview. But bear with me; you will have more news in the future. So
that's a teaser.
Yeah. So it's maybe a long answer to say yes. The reaction of the traditional people is very good, definitely. Yeah.
Which I think is a little bit unique too. I mean, for those of us that have been in this space for, years and years, I'm sure, Pierre, you can probably attest to this, that it's like, it seems to be like the same people in blockchain and crypto and it's just all this recycled stuff that kind of goes from network to network and all that stuff. So like when I hear like, hey, there's traditional people, I mean, because at the end of the day, like even you see like the blockchain networks themselves like competing with each other, and it's like, why are you competing with each other whenever you should be trying to get the 99% of the people that aren't here? And I always find it interesting when there's people that are kind of bridging that gap with traditional business and getting traditional participants kind of interested in blockchain technology. I think you kind of alluded a little bit to where we're going in the conversation, though, Yannick, with kind of recent updates. Maybe Pierre within Galileo, and then we'll kind of do round robin here. But Pierre, if you want to tell us what's kind of been going on with Galileo and what's coming down the pipeline here.
Yeah, and especially I told the community yesterday that I will be disclosing some news that is currently happening within the Galileo organization. So first news that I want to announce, so a few months ago, we have been establishing a company located in Switzerland, but now I think it's time also to restructure the company and to make one big entity. So that's why we are going to focus our effort in France. And for the people that is being used to see me on camera, on private meetings or on EMA like this, you can see that I have a different setup. So we are incorporating right now physical offices. We have been developing Galileo since the genesis, working remotely with different countries, US with Zach, Holland, Italy, France, Greece, Philippines, Pakistan, India. And now it's time also to level up. So that's why we are integrating physical offices. I want to create a company culture, to have a startup that is targeting high performance. So that's why we are in this new environment right now. And this week especially, I have been organizing 25 interviews with different people. And it's funny to notice, like when you ask them, is like, what do you think about the blockchain technology? The main word that is popping up is about speculation. So I think there is a huge things to do about education, about the mass population is like blockchain is not only speculation and return of investment. You can develop some real world use cases within this industry. The second thing that I wanted to disclose is about the marketing and the rebranding. I had the chance to discuss it a little bit with Ryan before we start this meeting, but we are approaching a marketing agency located in Germany that has been working with Mercedes, with Skoda, etc. And in 2 weeks I will be in Germany to start a workshop, because we will be revamping, I would say, the Galileo images, so the logo, the brand assets, the social media. We are going to create a podcast. We are going to create an advertising in terms of film production. So there is a lot of initiative in order to position Galileo within the luxury industry. And that's true that we have been positioning ourselves into the Web3 sectors. And I think it was very interesting also to gain the traction, to gain the visibility, to gain the community confidence. But now I think it's time, and we have been deciding it with all the decision maker, the shareholders, that it's time to level up the marketing of Galileo protocol. So there is a lot of initiatives that is taking place right now. Another thing that I want to disclose, and without mentioning the name because it's not confirmed yet, but there is a high probability that the Galileo team will be flying in Dubai in November for an event associated with the German car manufacturers. And this event is recognized because all the car owners of these brands will meet up just to have a chat, to drink, to take some pictures, to have some exhibition, to have some keynotes, etc. And the thing that we are going to do is to install a Galileo booth. We will have some photo equipment, and all the people will drive the car into the location, and we will be taking high quality pictures, and we are going to create pNFTs, so digital passport, and we are going to deliver it to them. And this digital passport will contain all the ownership titles traditionally that come with a vehicle registration certificate, such as the model, the serial number, the mileage, the maintenance record, etc. And we are creating this small application, which will be called My Garage. So just imagine you have 10 cars because you are multimillionaires in your garage, and you want to digitally manage all your ownership titles. So we are creating My Garage application in which you can have all the ownership titles of all the cars that you have in your garage. But before this event, we are doing also a beta test event, I would say, that we are doing in Mallorca in the coming days. The same principle. It will be vintage cars. People will drive into the booth, take some pictures, and they will get the pNFT delivered. The last point that I wanted to talk about, so you know we have the marketplace in live. We are developing also the mobile version of this marketplace. And the second thing that the people have been waiting for a long time is the staking platform, in which so I have the Leox token, I have the Nebula collection. What can I do with this? So that's why we have been taking some time, and I recognize we took a lot of time to develop it. It's for the features development, but also for the security reason. So the staking platform will allow the Nebula holders and the Leox holders to stake their assets in order to participate into the governments and in order to have some privilege within the marketplace. The staking platform is being reviewed by Aken currently, and especially they are calling a lot of white hat hackers to try to break the code of the Galileo staking platform, and we are going to reward these white hat people if they find some I don't know how to call it in English, some breaches within the code. So that's it for the initiative about Galileo. Restructuring physical office team performance here. As you can see, I'm showing. It's a nice area. Staking platform, car exhibition, tokenization, and we are good to go for 2024.
It's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it in November, and I'm sure you guys will have a ton of really cool kind of on-chain aspects, and some of the off-chain photos and stuff that hopefully you guys are able to share with everybody, which will be really cool. So
Exactly.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And congrats on the physical office. I know it's like kind of a milestone from the business end of things for sure. So really cool to see. Yannick, the floor is yours for recent updates. What's going on with Kepler, and really appreciate everybody's time today. This was a really cool interview.
Yeah, basically the two important news on Kepler. The first one is that now we are conducting the ICO. We are in the phase that we call private sales 2. The public sales will start the 1st of October until the end of October, and November we are going to have the listing, and so the token generation event and the listing event. So where people will start to get their own token, the Avia token. So the team is concentrated on that. So creating the smart contracts, making sure this is audited, making sure that all that is all the oil is put that everything is seamless and flawless. So a lot of effort in this aspect. The traction of the project continues. So we have good investment. So today we are approaching the 800,000. So which is more than enough to make sure that. So the listing will happen. There is no doubt about that. So this is already above the threshold that we had considered ourselves. So we will start with the decentralized exchange, Uniswap probably, and then we will continue a few weeks after with centralized exchange. Most probably MEXOC we are discussing and negotiating at the moment. So it's upon plan. So this is going well. So this is the first focus. The second focus is actually the development of the first MVPs, minimum viable product. We signed two contracts. So one with MB Aviation to develop the MVPs for the tokenization of the diploma. So now we are kicking that off this month. And the other one is with a drone Dragonfly pad, so taking care of VertiPads for drones. And this one is also going to start very, very soon. We have a co-development with them, so the two teams are meeting to make sure that this is making synchronization. Just something quite interesting on this side. If you want, a VertiPad is a mini version of a VertiPort, and we tokenize the process, the mission of the drones. If you make a link between what I was saying before around an aircraft, you need also to tokenize processes around an aircraft. So this is, if you want, a mini version of what we should do for classical aviation as well. So I'm very, very excited about this. And soon to come more. You know, I'm very secretive these days, but because there is another one which is under discussion. So the attractiveness of Kepler is demonstrated by people who are trusting Kepler already, even before we started we are after listing. So it's something that I'm very thankful to our partners. We now the team is constituted as well, but as we said, we have a big synergy with Galileo's team, so we benefit from the expertise of Galileo. We start to have venture capitals interested into Kepler Digitals. I'm discussing with several of them. So it's not only about individuals who want to invest, it's also about companies, specialists of funding. So this is something which is going to happen prior or even after ICO. So I'd say the lights are green for Kepler Digitals. And as you know, I guess you can perceive the passion that we have about what we are doing. So for me, a no is not an answer. So I don't take a no for granted. I try to find ways to make things happen and to convince people that this is the right way to go. So, you know, what else can I say? So maybe to make a long story short, all focus in MVPs and ICO. and this is the main thing that we have to go. Maybe another thing, it's a side comment about I am working with traditional companies as well as a consultant. They know what I'm doing in Kepler Digitals, but they still ask me to help them in their strategy about IT. And of course, each time they talk to me, they know that I'm going to see if there is a case for blockchain. So this is something that is quite interesting because actually it shows that they want to challenge the way that they do today. And if there's something to change, I will not be quiet and say, okay, so what you do is all perfect, so you should try something else. And blockchain is obviously one thing. So this is the news. These are the news about Kepler Digitals.
Well, I'm always interested to interview anybody that kind of has experience out there in the wild from the traditional world that is kind of starting to go down the adoption rabbit hole of kind of blockchain. And Thierry, it's been awesome to have you on today. I think I kind of want to just maybe go around the table here for maybe just 30, 60 seconds and just kind of tell us what you're excited about kind of moving forward. And I guess, Thierry, I'll start with you with the relationship that you guys, well, the relationship you've had with Yannick for quite some time, and now kind of this venture with Kepler and bringing credentialing on chain. I mean, what excites you kind of the most for adopting different levels of technology, and what are you looking forward to, Thierry?
Well, I'm quite excited actually to get started with the project we were talking about and to tokenize the certifications. And I think we have a way to deal with that with the African market. We've been working a lot with Africa. We know that this country is seeking for credibility, is seeking for improvements, is seeking for tracking as well. So we've been spending a lot of time with African partners recently, and I believe that we have a lot to do with our African partners on this topic, on this matter. Also, I heard Yannick talking about the eVTOLs, and that's something which is very exciting to me as well. I talked a little bit about the off-airport services, the solutions we can bring to the market, whether it is services or solutions. I think there is a lot to do to bring the different transportation means and channels all together. So it's not anymore about aviation only. Aviation has changed and aviation is evolving. You can have eVTOLs, you can have bus, taxi, you can have tramway, you can have everything. And it's not anymore aviation by itself. Aviation has to be combined. And so if you talk about combination, you talk about blockchain potentially and tokenization. So I think there is a lot to do in this area. So very excited to get started with this first training certification project and to grow together to bring some new ideas and some innovations to this aviation industry, which is seeking for innovation.
Awesome. And Pierre, closing thoughts from you, sir, and then I'll get to Yannick and we will ramp down here, guys.
Can I, Ryan, I forget to disclose something about the news,
Sure.
and it's super exciting. Can I share my screen like rapidly?
Yeah, if you want to load it up, I'll get it up there on the stage.
Can you? Yeah, I think you can see my screen, no?
It looks. Yep, I can see it.
Yeah, I want to show, so everybody know about this company, Ledger, right? One of the top performer company within the crypto world, and especially in France, that's a big companies. And we have the chance with Yannick to meet for a private workshop, Eric Larchevêque, one of the co-founder of Ledger, in order to address the situation with Kepler and Galileo and to scale the company. So we have this wonderful opportunity to have Eric Larchevêque during a 2 days period. We are going to drive into his private house to have some guidance and advisory over the development of Galileo and Kepler Digital, and we are very, very excited about this.
That's awesome. Yeah, congrats. Do we have? Yeah, hold on one second. Let me get everybody up here again. Oh, did Pierre hop? I think Pierre hopped. He hopped himself, guys, but that's awesome. That's awesome from Galileo and Galileo's standpoints. We'll see if he comes back on. But Yannick, if you have closing thoughts, I would love to hear them as well.
Yeah. So my closing thought is that the future is bright. So let's try. Let's make it happen. The energy is here. We want to be pioneer in that aspect, but we want also to have other colleagues addressing that. So welcome everybody interested in blockchain. We can help. That's why also Kepler can be a launch pad for other initiatives. So let's remember that it's part of our white paper. We can help other initiatives of the same nature to bring them to life. So it's not a selfish initiative. We want to be useful for society, and this is our motto. So let's continue, guys, and full steam ahead.
I know I'm always trying to think of synergy between different projects and different networks, and I have a couple of thoughts in that regard that I'll try to make some intros here. But Pierre, before you accidentally kicked yourself from the stream, I did say congratulations on the workshop with Ledger. Obviously, I know that's one of the biggest asks that we see all the time from any community in this space, is kind of the Ledger aspects and all the other stuff that kind of comes along with that. So that's a huge opportunity, and I'll let you walk us out here, Pierre, because I know you hopped down.
No, yeah, it was finished. So we had the opportunity to meet him during a 2 days period, and we just say yes. It will be very wonderful to see how to scale a startup. I think this is the main point, but also understanding the crypto regulation in France, Europe, and internationally, because I think like Erich Larchevêque has enough experience and expertise within this space in order to bring some value into these companies that we are currently developing. So it will happen at the end of next month. So we will be meeting with Yannick. We will drove back also to a location in which we will be also deploying the Avia token and launching the token on Uniswap first, before we list it on MEXC, which will happen about 3 to 4 weeks after the initial listing on Uniswap.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate everybody's time today. Please hang out with me here in the stream for a second as I ramp this one down. Again, we had Thierry, who's the managing director of MB Aviation, Yannick from Kepler Digitals, and Pierre from Galileo Protocol. That being said, guys, looking forward to the next space that we do. Looking forward to seeing all the initiatives come to fruition out of all you guys. And it's cool to see innovation that's bridging the gap between Web3 and Web2. Stay with me here for a second as I ramp this down, so I make sure I have the full streams. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
All right, the Twitter stream is ended, and